Hello, my lovelies. This week I read The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third book in the Hawthorne Legacy series or Inheritance Game series, whichever you want to call it. This is my review of this book, so without any further ado, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's talk about it. Roll the intro. Welcome back. Now, for those of you who do not know, The Final Gambit is the third book and final in the Inheritance Games. I want to call it the Inheritance Games trilogy because that's the name of the first book. And through this whole trilogy, we have been following a girl named Avery Grams, who is mysteriously given an enormous fortune by one Tobias Hawthorne, a man who is known to have riddles upon riddles, traps upon traps, and that Avery was somehow planted for a bigger reason or a game that this old man had been playing, a lon con, if you want to say that. And there are 4 Hawthorne grandsons who were supposed to be the ones that inherited everything according to everyone else, unbeknownst to them. There is Jameson, Grayson, Xander, and Nash. Nash being the oldest and Xander being the youngest. Each one brings something new to the table. Each one had participated in these weekly games that old man Tobias Hawthorne had devised for his grandsons. Set them up for everything, so when Avery gets, the entire inheritance, especially since Grayson was positioned to be the one to take over everything business-wise, there's a lot of conflict. There's also riddles. I hope you don't hear that car in my background. Awkward. And what has started with simply one riddle figuring out why he chose her of all people to inherit has now led to not only Avery forging relationships with the boys, earning their trust, earning their respect, participating in various games, various riddles that have rose the stakes higher and higher to the point that we get to this book, and there is somebody that knows Tobias Hawthorne's whole thing for riddles and games so well that Avery is having a hard time finding out who took someone that means something to her, and this being the man named Toby Hawthorne, who was the son of Tobias Hawthorne, the old man. But he also dated Avery's mother, and that is kind of how the old man found out about Avery to begin with, is because he was keeping tabs on his wayward child, who was believed to be dead, by the way. So, we've been through this whole journey with Avery, and now things are hitting kind of a climax where there was a stipulation in the first book about Avery having to survive a whole year living at Hawthorne House, which was the big house that old man Tobias owned. And now it's getting close to the time where it's been a year that she has lived in this house and has gone through so much, from various threats from the outside to within the own walls of Hawthorne House. And as it's getting closer to that moment where she is to inherit everything, a new competitor has stepped up and has taken Toby, and it's up to Avery to find out who has them, why is their games so familiar to that of Tobias Hawthorne, the old man, and what do they want? So, that is where this book is. A lot of hijinks ensue, of course, a lot of mysteries, a lot of riddles, and I love the mystery genre. I really love mysteries, but I've kind of fallen out of them until I read this trilogy, and I really love this trilogy. I really loved this trilogy. Each book is so solid. Jennifer Lynn Barnes, there's one thing you can tell with authors, and that's when you know they go into a series or a story with a exact plan of what they want to do from beginning to end. How am I going to get to that end? This is my beginning. What happens in between? And that is the story. And I appreciate that so much with authors, because there's some book series that you can tell that once they kind of got popular, the author kind of deviated from the original story that they wanted to exactly end it on. There are some whole series that get books later on because the books get discovered and then they get popular, and then the author's like, maybe I should write another book. Maybe I shouldn't leave the ending as it was. Maybe I should change it and just keep making some bank off of the recent success of my book that I wrote 20 years ago. It happens like that. I don't know why. I mean, I understand in a way, get your bag. Yes, get your bag. But sometimes when you undermine an ending that has already existed and then you kind of re-continue the story, it's like what happened with Sly Cooper. The third Sly Cooper game was supposed to be the end. That was it. That was the end of Sly Cooper's story. And then they made a fourth game and everyone was just kind of like confused but also excited and the game just kind of flopped. Woo! I'm glad that Jennifer Lynn Barnes did not do that. You could tell she had a plan from beginning to end with as many different little pieces from both of the other books that had seemingly no meaning, or some things that we did know had double meanings to them, and tied things in from the second book and the first book, and that was done so fucking well. Jennifer Lynn Barnes knows how to write a fucking mystery, and I don't mean to keep swearing, but like, this got me back into the whole mystery genre, because I was reading a lot of mystery books that were entrapped in like horror, or the mysteries weren't set up well, and I didn't understand why some of these books were popular, because like the mysteries weren't well crafted. Like you could tell halfway through some of these books what the ending was going to be, what the huge twist was going to be. Where this book, where Tobias Hawthorne is said to have riddles on riddles, Ms. Jennifer Lynn Barnes is Tobias Hawthorne to me, because there was riddles upon riddles, a whole bunch of plot twists. I loved this whole trilogy, and I found out that she's making a book specifically about the Hawthorne brothers. It's going to be called, I think, The Brothers Hawthorne. I am so excited. I am beyond excited. I was so glad when I got this book, and I was kind of afraid because it was the last book, and I talked to my fiance about this. I'm like, this is going to be the last book in the series, and I'm going to be kind of sad. And then I found out that she's making another one, so I'm like, yes, please, thank you. I'm so happy. Now, we're going to discuss the plot. Part of me doesn't really understand some of the reasons why these characters were doing what they were doing. And that's kind of a small nitpick because everything does tie up so well in the end. But there was some moments where I didn't understand certain characters' motives for the longest time. And I just kept wondering myself, where is this going? Where is this going? Why is this character acting kind of not like themselves? It was a little weird, but at the end, everything did tie up very well, so I'm not going to nitpick it that hard for that. Maybe that was just me being dumb. I don't know. It could happen. I am pretty dumb, so yeah. I call myself out in my own videos. Anyways. The plot wasn't bad at all. That's just me nitpicking. That's just me nitpicking. But as we're going for the characters, there was some characters that I don't believe had a little bit more time in this book. We didn't really see much of certain characters, and I understand we kind of already established who they were, and they weren't really that important to the story that much anymore. Other characters, I didn't really understand why they were kind of still there. Like, there's this character named Thea, and I understand that she's like the girlfriend of one of the major players in this whole mystery. But like, she played such a big kind of part in the second book. So I thought maybe she would have more of a role going on, where it kind of reverted back to the first book where she was kind of like there. You knew that she kind of had a somewhat reason to be there. But you didn't really understand why she was there until the second book. So she kind of reverted back to her old self, where she's kind of just like a little bit helpful. She kind of makes things a little bit light every now and then. But I kind of thought that she would have been a bigger player in this mystery, like the second book. But again, that's just my own nitpicks. I really didn't see that much wrong with this book. I thought the plot was good. The mystery, of course, was good. There was sometimes a little too many plot twists and a little bit too much info dumping on me, especially for a last book. But again, everything tied up well at the end, so I can't exactly fault the book for that. The last book especially, is meant to tie up everything at the end. but when you're kind of info dumping at the very end, it kind of feels weird until it has a satisfying ending, and I believe that this had a satisfying ending. So again, I'm just nitpicking. This was actually a good book. I'm not trying to knock it down in any way, shape, or form. I really liked this book. I thought it was great. I did not find anything wrong with this book at all, besides those little tiny nitpicks that I had. So what am I going to give this book? I'm going to give it a solid 10 out of 10. Along with the other books, I've thoroughly enjoyed the Inheritance games, and I can't wait to see what Jennifer Lynn Barnes makes next, because she has quickly become one of my favorite current authors of the time right now. I haven't really had a favorite author for a very long time, so I've been keeping my eye on her. I've been following her on Twitter and Goodreads and stuff to kind of keep up with her and what she's doing, because I really liked these books. Don't have a single bad thing to say about them. So, if you guys have read the Inheritance games, please let me know in the comments below. What is your current read? I know I ask people all the time, but like, I'm really interested in what people are reading, and like, how did you find your way to my video? I mean, you're here obviously because you're interested in this book, I mean, I assume. Unless you're just kind of scrolling through YouTube and you just kind of put on some mindless video, which I do all the time. Especially when I'm cooking, I just put on some like random review of like Victorious. Quentin Reviews has saved me various times, because Quentin Reviews videos are like 5 hours long with so much information and like cool tidbits and stuff. And they're like 4 hours long, so it's like, I'll put this on while I'm cleaning the house and I'll learn something. So maybe that's how you found me. Anyway, if you feel like it, please hit the like and the subscribe button. I don't just talk about this stuff, I also talk about anime, TV shows, movies, pop culture news, pop culture drama, anything that I find interesting, it goes on the channel. That's why the name's The Random Show. It's random for a reason. You look around the channel, I'm sure you'll find something you like. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all so, so much, and I hope you have the best day. Bye.